Alright everybody, it's been a long time since I've made a video on wrestling, on professional wrestling, and I thought it is finally the right time to make some videos on wrestling because wrestling is it's in an interesting position right now, and I thought it was high time that some changes took place in the world of professional wrestling, and everyone needs to contribute to that. So here's just my 2 cents on how wrestling should change in 2026. Now, I wrote a short article a few months ago on where professional wrestling stood in 2025, in which I also said, if all throughout its history professional wrestling has represented hope, grit, and edginess, it is far from it now. It would not be so wrong to say that wrestling today stands for commercialization. It is absolutely heartening to see something everyone loved so very much achieve relevance again, but success comes at a price. And sometimes the price is heavy in the long term. Even though there is more money than ever, the fans are not the happiest. Seen recently in the case of R-Truth, that is Ron Killings. The TV product is uneasy to watch and evidently uncoordinated and incoherent. Despite having such an advantageous position, the wrestling industry is failing to exploit it. It pains me more than anything to say that wrestling has sold out. I came up with some ideas to make wrestling good again. Now, I know I'm just a fan, I'm just a mark, but even if some of my ideas could contribute to business getting better, it delights me. I'm very happy if the business gets better because of my ideas. And I think a lot of people would agree to a lot of this also. Now, the first one is reduce the number of belts. Wrestling at its prime used to have you'd have the world championship. Maybe you could have a secondary world championship if there was a huge roster, or if you had multiple shows running in the promotion. But traditionally, wrestling would have just a world title, a mid-card title, a tag title, and a women's title. And if you add a women's mid-card and a tag title too, so at the best there shouldn't be more than 6 titles in a wrestling promotions, in my opinion. Now, what we are seeing these days is that every show has more than 6 or 7 belts. Raw has its own belts, SmackDown has its own belts, NXT has its own belts, the women's division has its own belts, and the tag titles are there, and there are 2 world championships, and the same goes for AEW and all the companies that work with them and all the companies that work with the WWE, and it's just a terribly large number of belts. And I don't think this many belts is good for any wrestling promotion. I don't think. Not only does it devalue the significance of all these belts, not only does it devalue the significance of all these championships, but it also makes your roster look crowded, and it also makes your entire promotion and the reason everyone is there for it look irrelevant. When there are so many belts, you just don't stand out. The second thing is balance wrestling and storytelling. Now, what I see these days is when you look at the WWE, there is a lot of storytelling and a lot less wrestling. And when you look at other promotions, the indie promotions, and AEW, you look at a lot of wrestling, but not enough storytelling, or not that great of storytelling. And when that happens, there is a lot of action, but not enough build-up. There is not enough talk. And there is not much substance behind why something is happening, why 2 guys are involved in that feud, why that rivalry is taking place, why the manager is supporting his client, why the 2 groups are fighting, why are people involved in that competition, why do people want that belt. So there is a lack of substance behind those combats. So you gotta have a balance of wrestling and storytelling. I think the perfect balance would be 65% storytelling, 35% wrestling, or 60% storytelling and 40% wrestling, something like that. Especially in today's era when the wrestlers do not wrestle as much as the wrestlers of the previous generations used to do. I mean, John Cena was on Joe Rogan's podcast not long ago, and he was saying that they used to wrestle like 20 days a year. That is That is an insane number. The third suggestion I have is Empower Weekly TV. Going back to the time when we were kids and we used to watch wrestling religiously, we didn't used to focus on the pay-per-views or the PLEs. We used to focus on the build-up to those PLEs. Those PLEs were like the climax. Those PLEs were like the conclusion of something that had been brewing, something that had been building for a long time. There used to be a lot of substance behind it. There used to be a lot of storytelling. There used to be a lot of stuff that used to happen on a weekly basis, a lot of changes, a lot of events that used to happen on a weekly basis on those weekly shows every Monday or every Friday or every Thursday that used to lead to that huge matchup. And as you see with the WWE, every week, every Raw and every SmackDown, it seems to be the same. And the same goes for other promotions as well. There's just as different format for the show. And I think that needs an immediate change, because the fans are getting tired of that. You can see the viewership numbers dropping down, or at least not rising to a significant level. I think the weekly TV is what determines how many fans would come to your PLEs and your pay-per-views. Now, I understand, I know that the thing with the WWE is different. They can set out any arena that they want to, whenever they want to, because the fans are just going to be there. They just want to have that experience, even if they've been priced out, and they have been priced out, which is also one of my complaints. Stop pricing out fans. Those fans are what drive your promotion forward, and not the rich people who do not even watch wrestling on a regular basis. Those fans are who have kept the business alive, and those fans are the ones who will always keep this business alive. Without them, this business would shut down, and there would be no wrestling industry left in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So make your weekly TV better. Make your weekly shows exciting. Feature your biggest stars on your weekly shows. Another one of my suggestions is make distinctive and unique characters. Make distinctive and unique characters, make unique themes for them, and make them stand out. Kit Wilson is a recent example of someone who has sprung onto the scene and has gotten so over with the fans just because of his gimmick, just because of his theme, just because of his character, which isn't even the strongest, the most intense, the deepest of characters to begin with, as compared to the characters that have shaped this business. And it works. It just works. The fans desperately want to see someone who is different from what they're seeing. Drew McIntyre is someone who has a lot of substance behind him. Even though he does seem like he's just like all the other main event wrestlers, whatever he does makes him stand out from the rest of them. The fifth complaint of mine: protect kayfabe. Kayfabe is an art that has been lost in recent times. Kayfabe had already been exposed to a terribly large extent, but in recent times, with the new documentaries, with Unreal and other stuff, and with the wrestlers engaging with fans on social media and making all those vlogs and all, it just exposes the business. It just devalues the business. It just devalues the storytelling. You protect the business, and the business will protect you. You protect the business will make you successful. You run the promotion. You decide how things are to be done, and you don't tell everyone how it's being done. Because the moment you do that, you lose the power. You lose your power over your own business, and you give it to people who do not have that same experience, who do not understand the business like you do, and who do not care for the business as much as you do. Anyways, those were just my thoughts on how to improve professional wrestling in 2026. If you have any ideas on how to improve wrestling in 2026, you can let me know in the comments below. I will mention the link to my article on professional wrestling in the video's description. You can check out the article from there. You can subscribe to my newsletter on Substack or on LinkedIn. And I'll see you guys very, very soon.